If you're trying to lose weight and you love your desi tea, I have something for you. Please stick around. Now, some of you might know, or some of you may not know, caffeine is in tea, right? A lot of people think, oh, caffeine's only going to be in coffee or what have you. No, caffeine is also in tea, dark chocolate, chocolates actually. A lot of your favorite diet drinks as well, there is some amount of caffeine in there as well. But did you know when you're having your Karak chai, which is my favorite, which I had the other day, there's caffeine in there. And caffeine does wonderful things to you other than making you feel good and make you feel awake. So if your goal is to lose weight, I want you to watch this video and I won't be long, I promise. So some of you guys might know caffeine as a central nervous system stimulant, basically to kind of cut it short, right? So it's just a fancy schmancy way of saying that it excites your central nervous system because it blocks the receptor, which stops you from feeling sleepy, I guess. However, a lot of people over rely on caffeine and energy drinks, so over time the tolerance builds up big time, so they won't really feel any effect. But if you want to use caffeine for weight loss, then I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say. So I mentioned caffeine can help with energy. Caffeine can also help you with mental alertness and focus. But did you know caffeine also helps you lift more weights, or makes you get stronger, right? So what I mean by that is it can actually help power output. So when you're exercising and you're doing your squats or your kettlebell swings or whatever the hell you like to do, caffeine is going to help push the body even more. It's going to help your muscles a little bit more. Okay, it's got a cool mechanism, but you must bear in mind that you need to use it strategically. All right, so if you're having desi tea every single day and you have caffeine, coffee, caffeinated beverages, diet drinks, chocolate, and you're having your regular coffee, this ain't gonna work for you. All right, but if that's not you and you like a bit of desi tea, a couple of times a week, then I want you to use caffeine strategically. So if you work out in the morning or the afternoon, then I would say this works well. In the evening, maybe not so much. But caffeine can help boost strength. It doesn't boost metabolism long term. It can give you a slight metabolic bump, i.e. it can help you burn calories slightly faster or in a bit of a higher rate, but it's not going to help you lose the weight. There's a mistake that a lot of people fall for, or what they end up believing is that if I drink coffee, if I drink energy drinks, if I drink my L-carnitine with my caffeine, which is a funny one, then I'm going to boost my calorie burning. But I think the studies have shown, and I will link them below, that the bump in calories is probably only 20 to 30 calories at most, which is not really much. You can save that much by eating one digestive biscuit less. Okay, so it's going to help lift weights, it's going to help you lift weights, it's going to help you get stronger, it's going to give you focus, it's going to give you power, but it's going to give you all that. Okay, and when you use it strategically before a workout, and then you exercise and you push yourself, you're going to get stronger. And one of the foundations, the pillars of getting fitter, leaner, or more toned is progressive overload, because that is what allows you to tone up your body. So for the desi women out there who are getting in shape, and who want to get in shape rather, and they're following the calorie deficit and everything, but they're not lifting weights, or if they are lifting weights and it's not progressive, caffeine might be able to help. Now, caffeine can be found in many places really, but the key ones really are kind of teas, the coffee bean, because it comes from the coffee bean as well, and dark chocolates, which come from cocoa beans. So that's really all you need to know. I would probably guess there's more places, but I can't really think of the top of my head, and I don't use a teleprompter, so I can't give you places where it comes from. But for the most part, the three common areas are going to be, three common foods rather, are chocolates, diet drinks, and teas and coffees, okay, in short. So if you find yourself, and one of the things I always say to clients who struggle with sleep is, they say to me, I don't drink coffee, which is cool, and I don't drink tea, but they do enjoy some chocolate from time to time, or they do enjoy like a diet Coke or Pepsi or whatever, right? And there is some caffeine in that. And I know it sounds very, very minuscule, or in maybe negligible amounts, but that's enough for some people to actually disrupt their sleep. So I would say focus on those. But those are the key ones I would say pay attention to. So if you're trying to cut down caffeine, or if you want to find out what foods have caffeine, those are the culprits. There may be more. Some of you might call me an idiot, which is fine, fair enough. You can go ahead in the comments, but those are the ones that I come across more often than people. So how can you use it for weight loss? I guess that's what you really wanted to know. Well, weight loss obviously is going to come down to an energy deficit, basically. So a calorie deficit, you guys probably already know. But when it comes to caffeine, it can help in a couple of ways. So the two main ways really is it's going to give you, even though I said it's not that much, it's still something, a slight metabolic boost before your workout. Now, I would say for an untrained individual, so if you're completely new to this, right? Let's say you are, an untrained individual, you've never exercised and you've got a fair bit of weight to lose, and you've never really had caffeine before. Now, I probably should have put this disclaimer at the beginning of the video, but I will put this in the description. If you can tolerate caffeine, or if you've tried it here and there, this might work in your favor. In the first couple of weeks, if you enjoy a cup before your workout, let's say 45 minutes to an hour before your workout, if you have it with foods, that's generally what you're looking at. But let's say you're not having any food, then maybe 30 minutes before a workout, because caffeine can hit the bloodstream a lot quicker, right? But if you can have a cup before your workout, and as I said, if you're untrained and you've not had a lot of caffeine before and you're somewhat overweight, you'll actually get higher calorie burn during the workout compared to somebody who's fairly trained and they already drink a bit of caffeine. But this will wear off after a couple of weeks, so I would still take the bloody advantage, for about 2-3 weeks. Why would you not want an extra caloric burn? But for most people, I would say the way that you approach it is, if you are already a heavy caffeine user, then you want to cut caffeine out a little bit, because you're not going to feel any effects whatsoever, because your body is used to the caffeine already, right? So I would say, if you're a heavy caffeine user, cut it in half, or what to do is just switch your caffeine habits, or flip it around completely and have a cup before your workout. So anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes, I would say, is a good sweet spot before your workout. I'm actually having one just now. I actually have this Keep Cup, if anyone's interested. So the Keep Cup is quite cool. It's basically I stopped spending a lot of money outside on coffee, so a Keep Cup I bought online, and it's like a glass coffee cup. It's really, really cool. It's got a wee bamboo outline to it, and I make espressos at home, so it's quite cool. But where am I going with this? Yeah, so 30 to 45 minutes before your workout, and that should do the job. Now, when you trained, you'll notice that you might have a bit more strength, you might have a bit more energy, and that's going to feel awesome, right, for the first couple of sessions. And then maybe for another 3 or 4 weeks, you'll feel great still. But then after a month or so, you might feel like, all right, this is not working anymore. Now, I'm not saying caffeine is going to be the solution to all your problems. No, you still need to push yourself. Obviously, caffeine is just going to give you that extra boost, I guess, if you will, okay? But eventually, tolerance is going to be a bit of an issue. So I know this is going to break some hearts, but you will need to cycle or take a break. Now, for me, I struggle with this, so I only do like 5-6 days or so. I know some people recommend 7 to upwards of 10 for some people. I think the literature has shown I couldn't do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I can probably do 4 or 5 days. I don't rely on it. I only drink 1 or 2 cups a day, which is not really much, but it's become more habitual for me, okay? So if after a few weeks you start training and you notice that, okay, you know what, this is not really working for me anymore, just cycle off it. Still do your workout, take a break from caffeine, and then when you reintroduce it into your day, you'll find that you'll make better use of it. In fact, a lot of athletes and like powerlifters do this. So what they tend to do is they cycle caffeine off a week or 2 before like what we call their meet or their big events, and then it kind of builds up the tolerance again, kind of resensitize them, and then when it comes to the event, they bring caffeine in and it kind of hits them a lot harder, so they're able to make use of it. Okay, so to use it for weight loss, all you're doing is you're consuming it 30 to 45 minutes before your workout, and it's going to work wonders. And what you'll be able to do is, as I said, the cornerstone of weight loss and toning, etc., is progressive overload and being able to push yourself every 1 to 2 weeks, okay? Because if you're not pushing yourself and you're just going into your exercise and your workouts with just like a sweat, and all you want to do is huff and puff and get your heart rate up, you're not actually progressing, right? Progression comes when you are seeing changes in strength. I mean, you're incrementally going up over time. You're doing an extra rep. For some people, it might just be every 2 or 3 weeks going up in 1 or 2 reps. That's a huge change, especially for someone who's trained. If you're new, you will probably see quicker progression points. You'll see bigger changes in the first couple of weeks. Yeah, caffeine can be a good tool because it can just help push you. And the reason I'm making this video is because a lot of you are drinking desi tea and caffeine, etc. Well, caffeine isn't desi tea, but I want some of you to maybe use it strategically. So if you do not like coffee, but if you can do desi tea before a workout, the thought of that actually puts me off because I don't really see that. I see desi tea, Karak chai, for example, for me, as something that I would have, a kind of comforting, warm environment, when I'm relaxed. But for me, like an espresso or an Americano rather, in this case, is what I would consume before a workout. Okay, so it's a great tool. So a couple of things to look out for, and please take this on board. Caffeine is not going to boost weight loss, and caffeine paired with carnitine, which is another popular supplement, is not going to speed things up, okay? It is a tool. It is what we call an ergogenic aid. That's all it is. So don't use it thinking you're going to lose all this weight. You are not, okay? Despite what your favorite influencer says, If anyone says caffeine can boost, I think, is it OxyShred? I have a hard time kind of discussing them anymore, and I always go to town on them, and some of these idiot influencers are pushing this on people, thermogenics, etc., etc. Anyhow, but caffeine is in most of these supplements. I also take one of these supplements, so when I'm traveling, for example, or if I just can't be bothered drinking coffee, I'll have a pre-workout, which I don't recommend for everyone. It's called The Curse, which is a scary name, and caffeine is the main ingredient, right? Caffeine's everywhere, okay? But don't think it's going to boost the weight loss. And secondly, you want to make sure that you don't have any heart problems. Obviously, as I said, I put the disclaimer below. If you have any issues with your heart, especially when it comes to your kind of heartbeat and heart rhythm, or if you've got a heart condition, then speak to a bloody doctor. Turn this off and don't listen to anything I've said, okay? Because caffeine can obviously stimulate the nervous system, and it causes your heart rate to increase, and also your blood pressure, which is something I learned the hard way, because a couple of times when I've had to get my blood pressure checked, I go to the doctors, and about an hour before I've had a cup of coffee, and they've warned me actually a couple of times to say do not drink coffee before you go, and I still end up doing it. Okay, so if blood pressure is an issue with you, or if it runs in the family, you want to kind of keep an eye on caffeine, because it's probably not going to help. All right, so those are just a couple of things to look out for, because I do need to kind of put the danger warnings out there as well. But generally speaking, if you're a healthy individual, a little bit of caffeine, no big deal. Okay, so that's all you need to know. Don't worry about dosages, don't worry about anything else. Just a cup before you work it. Don't overthink it. Okay, if you buy it from outside, a mocha, a cappuccino is not coffee. Okay, for God's sake, there's a little bit of caffeine there, but it's all just chocolate and sugars. Okay, so use common sense. Okay, for me, I'm not being a snob or anything. For me, a coffee, espresso, Americano, a flat white at most, a latte if I'm feeling really generous, but that's where I kind of draw the line. Anything beyond that is not coffee. Now, I spoke about desi tea, but I also spoke about desi food and how to manage desi food and lose weight without counting calories, and I actually did a video for you, so check that before you go.